masse werkste det size suolen en sauke en det smärt med skydda. Hela likevallen svindle om man är högre färdig med till risen är du.
Henry had my lord friend again. There was kind out that system with the rent. New keeps it out. So in there he was kind of out in the rent was Mears, little girl. Was Mears, yeah. He used to it.
Ja, Mears sitting there with mom's talking to side off hip sister and mom's in the school trip yonder where mustn't it? Secretary sister, my swimming and so it. And they're in lighter window. And swoop down light looking hot up. They can be in about what home here so I told you there. House. That's it. House. That's the dirt around the field. I'm in town.
Don't forget, folks, this is. Don't forget med de snöret skor surfare and observer when they ish. For the offer of stacks of him, folks, as in professor, you is fuck.
Och jag röstar så nej, först smart dofter in the valve. Först det skrubb upp det där med sändet så det skrubb så det chef den är siden i vill. Så utgång. Det är nöt den är. Skrubb styrket det. Ja, så I had one night now earth in now said not it but now said that now said it not somebody that still they had out been out to it. I'd say it was a kind of a screaming cry and it seemed to have anguish in it. Anguish was the thing that stuck with me.
Here is an approximation to the sound that they reported hearing that evening. Some of the investigators began to call on the scientific community for facts which might put the puzzle together and prove or disprove the reports. Here is Dr. Charles Gay, curator of mammals at the Provincial Museum in Victoria, British Columbia, who reflects the dilemma in which he and his companions found themselves.
In my opinion, the Sasquatch, the Yeti, the abominable snowman, the Minago, the Catabrasaurus, Loch Ness Monster, Ogopogo, all of these animals belong in the realm of folklore, mythology. And my reason for saying
Galto, but there was still stopping a villa up in here, but Scarlet said, and she will make up. Says the ass no fits, guess what? Boy, Sam's no problems like you, using about the in the boy, the ember best of them, she love it, fork and get one. With my fever, we ran it. Snow puffer. Nising about that the fighting yes in the desert. Scarlet said, the Dutch of a sit now son. My fish no snow puffer, the color sharpen.
The foot was twisted, and two bulges appear, calloused structures on the outside edge of the foot, and correspond to gaps in the bones which I've reconstructed here. If this was faked, the person doing it had to be an absolute expert in human anatomy. Perhaps the most startling and far-reaching event in the recent history of Bigfoot hunting happened to a long-time investigator by the name of Roger Patterson. In October of 1967, he and a friend were in the Bluff Creek area of Northern California to investigate a reported sighting of two creatures. Suddenly his horse shied as a large creature stood erect behind a log where it had been drinking from the creek. Patterson grabbed a 16mm camera from the saddlebag and jumped from the back of the rearing horse to take the following pictures. Let's hear in Patterson's words exactly what happened that day. As I walked across the sandbar, I was able to get some fairly good footage of it. It turned a couple of times and looked at us, and as it turned, it seemed to give me the impression that it didn't want anything to do with it. It didn't run. Didn't act scared, but yet act leery of us.
Patterson thought that he had proved once and for all that the creatures existed. But he found that even the film was in question. As a result, the footage was submitted to experts in various fields. To Richard Grover, another investigator, reports on a sighting in a residential area just outside of Tacoma, Washington.
This is the site of the Five Heights incident. One morning, approximately 4 o'clock, Dick Hancock and his friend came along this road, stopping the car right here when they saw a huge creature behind that sign over there. It was so tall, its head was above the street sign. The creature took approximately 3 steps. Crossing the road, it was blinded by the headlights, and it almost bumped into this sign. As it sidestepped, it caught this sign before it went down over the hill. This is the sign that the creature struck, and it bent it like this, leaving these indentations or scratch marks. It has been estimated by experts that it took 500 foot-pounds to bend this material.
A few years after Mrs. Walton made the sketch for her father, she and her husband had a personal experience with a Bigfoot. This is what they report.
Well, I think my wife and I have heard the Sasquatch. There's a you're not going to but the witness said yes, sir. Easy remnant. Still off and off the myron. No, we told me that. See it a lot. There's some saying, sir, but again, I want someone out there. He's a kid. Snow class. Niet wel.
Zoals met maps en ik net met zijn niet snoeien Mellet skapfjord. I melkskider bij Oostgevne mee zo'n was never. Zo'n hamburgers. Je klaar, er staat zuri. Skapfjord door, zit door nee. Dat je was op het opjankje. Afro. Nu weet je dus nou als een oog. En ik heb er ik zeg niet van ons.
Did any of these creatures ever existed on the face of this planet? No one has ever produced a specimen, complete or incomplete, to prove that any of these animals have ever lived.
The scientists were asking for physical evidence to support the stories of the reported creature. In 1958, Gerald Crew was building a new road in a wilderness area in Northern California. For several mornings in a row, he noted there were huge, human-like footprints around his bulldozer. He obtained some plaster of Paris and made casts of them. Here now was physical evidence of something that made tracks. Some scientists say they are made by a prankster. Here is another investigator, René Dahinden.
No scientist ever came out in the bush to look at the footprints which we found. No scientists ever studied these tracks. They're sitting there saying they are faked without ever having seen a footprints in the area where we found them. No technical evaluation was ever made. In my opinion, after having seen 3,000 footprints myself, of 6 different sizes, I came to the conclusion this tracks to be made by a living foot, a creature with a foot like this, a Sasquatch, rather than a man with artificial feet.
The task of the investigators om över den surfminnesän, ja, ni röt nisnjansen i syrsen, ni röt med sjåmen det vid katt. Exaharpsen har ju stått med mamma. Liv ser även i surfska utbuden på sovjero för vad ser och sett. Visst helpen är så många för när vi den och avfira. Det sägs ju så snurket det. From the snow pool, being the dog from the shirt.
So you're the great sky, no, this is good, no, the chef, maybe you missed it, nursed it, is it in the, it fills me off the fucking, nursed it, so you're supposed to, big wizard nasty stuff stole it, is it?
Yes, having to pass off his casket. Stir open the shirt out and there he snow. Stir skipping all off with gäster. Så here with the guy on the flushing it. Jag får läsa mig för mig skulle väl en mystiska sådär med shirt out. You can look me near from the door. All the down here. Jag vill också helt girl. Jag shot the young dust. You who's been getting out of the door. You're ready to get set now. Jag får läsa mig dagen på er. You helping there on there funny. And the best seats get sneaked down to the bus Bonnie. Så därför snarare på menar då blir det get set in the house now. What was in the back? And get out don't forget by your second zero. And now if I get zero off then get out so much better. Yeah, but I don't know if you're upset, little smack, but I think I wouldn't serve you.